Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So today we are going to talk about um, functions, and this is the final topic that we are going to talk about within our C++ course. Now, functions are basically using all of the things that we have studied. We have already used functions such as sqrt, which is for the square root. We have also used a function called power, which will calculate, let's say, x to the power 2. It will do all of these things. So today we are going to learn how to create our functions and how to call these functions within our programs. So first of all, we are going to discuss function definitions. How do we pass the arguments by value? How do we pass the arguments by reference? And then finally, function overloading. And within our also topics, we will be talking about functions and arrays and how do we deal with them. So big and complicated programs have to be divided into several parts, which makes our lives easier. We have two building blocks in C++, which are functions and classes. Earlier, we saw how ready-made standard functions could be used, such as the power function. Here, we are going to try to construct our programs. So first of all, we have our function. We need to know what is the return type. What is this function going to return? Is it going to return a double? Is it going to return an integer? Is it going to return a character? Is it going to return nothing? So we need to know what is the function return type. Then we have the function name, and we should not use any reserved words. Then we need to put our variables. Our variables will be as follows. The type of the variable, integer, double, character, boolean, whatever, name, type, name, and so on. We close the brackets, and then we put our function over here. For example, this function will return the average or mean of two values. So double is our return value. It is going to return a double. The name of the function is called mean value. It is taking two inputs, which are double A and double B, and it is going to return A plus B over 2. A plus B over 2. So our program will do the following. The inputs are parameter A and B. The return is the mean value. The name of the function is mean value, and the type is a double. So again, we have the data type, we have the function name, then you need to have your parameters. Then at the end of the function, this is very important, you need to have your return value. So parameter list represents that information that needs to be passed to the function. A function may or may not return a value. Depends. If your function is of type double, integer, boolean, character, it needs to return a value. If your function of type void, and we have talked about void in our classes, if the function is of type void, then we do not need to return any value. Okay? Now, functions returning values. A value returning function returns a single value. Okay? This will return only one single value. A normal function will return only one value. The function header declares the type of return. So here, this is the function header. This is the type of return. We are going to return a double. We are going to return a double. A return statement is required. You must write a return statement. So double, a function is called area. It will take double length and double width. These two inputs. Then inside it, we are going to declare double A. A is equal to length multiplied by width. Then we are going to return A. Returning A should be the same value as our double. The return value A should be of the same type as our double over here. The function mean value has two parameters, A and B of type double. A return statement will do two things. First, it indicates which value to be given the result. It terminates the function. So a return value will terminate the function, will stop the function. The return value will indicate which value to be given as our result. A function definition is only a description of how a particular computation is done. To actually have the computation done, we have to call the function. A return prototype declares the function. So return type, function name, and the function. Now, this is a function that will calculate the area of the square. Look, this is called a function prototype. And in order to appreciate the function prototype, if we do not put a function prototype, this program will not work. Remember, C++ operates in sequence. C++ operates in sequence, meaning if the function prototype was not here, it will go hashtag include input output stream, hashtag include CMath, using namespace. I'm assuming this is not here, integer main, float A, cout, cin. Then we will reach, to this function over here. Now in this function, over here, we will say A square area. But if the prototype is not here, we did not know what's a square area because square area is placed underneath our program. So we have two options. Either we move square area above the integer main program, or we add the function prototype. So if you put the main on top of the function in your C++ program, then you need to define this function before the main. You need to call what we call it function prototype. And it's a very commonly used method. We put the function prototypes. Now the function prototype is the same header as the function, but followed by a semicolon. It's the same type of the same header of the normal function, but followed by a semicolon over here. This one. Example. So this program will compute the average of two values. So hashtag include input output string using namespace std. Now we have the function prototype. This is the first thing. Then we have the main function. Inside the main function, you need to call your function. This is number 2. And then we need to have our function itself. This is number 3. 3 things that must exist in any program that has a function. First, you need to have the function prototype. Then you need to call the function within your main function. And finally, you need to have the function itself. You need to make sure that all three values over here are covered within your program. So let's go back to this program. First, we have function that will calculate the mean value of A and B. We ask the user to enter N1, N2, then N1, N2, mean value N1, N2. Now, see N1, it comes in the first place, regardless. What is the name? You call it N1, you call it A, you call it X, you call it Y. Whatever is in the first place here will be mapped to the variable over here. Whatever the first place here will be mapped to the variable over here. Names are not important. The names are not important. Here we call them N1, and here it is A. Here we call it N2, and here it is B. Okay, the names are not important. The sequence is important. الترتيب هو المهم. العنصر اللي بتحطه بالأول هو اللي راح يجي على الفانكشن بالأول، والعنصر اللي بتحطه بالثاني هو اللي راح يجي على الفانكشن بالثاني. بعدين we calculate the return of A plus B divided by 2. This is another program that finds the largest of 3 input integers. So first, we are going to ask the user to enter the values A, B, and C. Then we have a function that will compare A and B, returns the maximum. Then the function will compare the new maximum with C and returns the maximum. Again, once more, I will emphasize on first, function prototype, then calling the function inside our main function, and finally our function itself. 3 things you must not forget. Okay, that these 3 things you must not forget: the function, returning the function itself, the prototype, and the calling the function within the main function. So this is another program which is a void function. A void function will require no return value. Value, because it is void. Void means space or emptiness or something empty. So this is void. So this is integer main, and you can see that we are calling a new line, just like end line earlier, and inside here there is no return value, it is void. Inside here there are no input arguments, so this is just a normal program that will do nothing. Next is a function that will detect the even number, so it will return a boolean, and the function is called isEven, and it will take an integer. It will either return true or return false. Once more, I will emphasize on the function prototype. I will emphasize on calling the function inside the main function and the function itself. So I will stop here for now, and we will continue in part number 2.